Hello racers! Today we will be talking about the Birmingham OPE tournament that we attended recently. We both flew there and we both played the Jango Tarkintown deck that we will be talking about as well in this video. So let's start with metagame report. The most prevalent deck was Anakin, blue. I think like 90% of the 28 decks you see on the screen were Anakin blue. And the deck didn't really perform that well during the tournament. It had below 50% win rate overall. The second most played deck were Jango, red. I think there was only like a few, one or two that were not playing Jango Tarkintown. And this deck is definitely here to stay in the meta. It's one of the most aggressive and combo-y decks right now. But the rest of the tournament, so about 150 people left, were playing tons of different leaders with different colors.
Yep. Besides those, like we have quite diverse meta. So if you Sabines, Cat Banes, Yodas, and Bosks. One of the important things about this graph is the fact that it doesn't separate leaders, but by the colors that they were paired with. So, for example, Bosks was played with green and blue, and I think it was around 5 that were played with green and 6 with blue. So yeah. The one interesting thing about this graph is the fact that Han 1 wasn't really represented that much, so only 9 Han 1 in the entire tournament.
Yeah.
And I think it's because the Han 1 doesn't do that well into aggro matchups for the most part. And as we get more into set 3 and some more control decks are gonna start showing, the Han 1 might be more popular. Because I think this deck is quite strong in general.
Yeah, it was the deck that was keeping hard control in check in last set, so I hope that there will be more players picking it up in the future tournaments. Okay, so let's talk about the deck that we chose to play. So we chose to play the Jango Tarkintown. After the Boba ban, it was the second best thing for the space aggro deck. It also got a lot stronger in set 3 than it was in set 2, and even in set 2 it was getting some wins during the PQ season. Our list is a little bit different than most. We decided not to run some key cards that some people were thinking are auto-include in the deck, and it actually went pretty well for us. The biggest card that we decided not to run is definitely Daring Raid. I think every single other list than ours were running 3 of Daring Raids in main. We decided not to run a single copy and also not one in the sideboard. It's commonly used in the mirror or versus the aggressive matchups because it is still one of the best cards you can draw on turn 1. With any other 1-drop, you can kill your opponent's stuff. With Daring Raid plus Tarkintown, deploy a 3-1 or a 1-3 with ISB. But what we discovered in testing is that it didn't really help in the mirror that much, because even though you are killing the opponent's ship, that most of the ships in this deck are 3-2, it still didn't allow you to play anything else with it, unless you dumped your hand really fast. And if you dumped your hand really fast, like if you, for example, played Daring Raid plus a 3-1, and your opponent killed your 3-1 with a P58, you are still behind on the tempo and on cards. So we decided to focus more on fixing the biggest issue I have with the deck. And for me, it is 4 and 5 mana plays, because there is not really any good 4 and 5 mana cards in the deck, so we decided to include more Imperial Interceptors and Sneak Attack. That was a really key card in a very few matchups, very many matchups.
Yeah, I mean, Sneak Attack in general is a really strong card when you play against other aggressive matchups. So in last round of the Swiss, I played against another Jango Red, and the guy wasn't running Sneak Attack at all. And in both of the games, the Sneak Attack was a really key card for me to win. Game 1 I played Sneak Attack plus Ruthless Raider. This combo is really strong because it allows you to basically deal 8 damage to the opponent's base. So Ruthless Raider deals 2 damage to enemy unit, one of the enemy units, and then 2 to their base when played. 4 with one attack, with just attacking, and then 2 more to the base with one defeat, which is a lot of tempo when you play aggressive matchups. And the fact that it dies at the end of the round doesn't really matter that much.
It also
Also,
is
second.
It's a bonus if you play it with Ruthless later, because then his on defeat trigger will happen again. So
yeah, also why the other game I used it with TIE Advance. I boosted my Fleet Defender. The TIE Advance traded with one of the opponent units, and then my my 7 Fleet Defender was shielded 5 power minion, which Jango couldn't really do much about. So the sneak attack was really strong card in the aggressive matchups. I don't think running 3 is great. It's still an option, but the card still requires you to have some other things in your hand. So something like Raider or other more expensive things, because you want to play this later in the game for the most part.
Yeah, it has a lot of uses, as I said before, and like the biggest combo is like Sip said with Ruthless Raider, but it also allows you to like cheat out units for a little bit cheaper, and with that many 1-drops and 2-drops that we run in the deck, sometimes you really want to squeeze something cheaper. And for example, even P38 playing with swoop down for 2 can tap 2 things, attack 3 to base, and that in some matches is enough to win you the game. The other big card that we decided to play 2 of is a heavy pursuer tank. Card that is like on the surface looking not that great, but the fact that it deals damage to the ground, it has a 6 attack in the front, and you can play it for 5 mana, which is really important because this deck doesn't really have any other 5 mana play that is even remotely playable. Means that you at least have something you can do on that mana, and it's the cheapest big damage you can do with triple dark raid, because if you exploit even 1 unit, you can play it for 3 mana for a triple dark raid, clear something on the ground, deal 6 damage to base, or clear the other things on the ground, because with his ability he is able to kill almost every single leader in the game. I think Yoda and Palpatines are the common ones that avoid death, but it's still enough to give you something to play. And it also allows you for my favorite play in the game that won me the second to last game in the tournament. So on 6 resources I've played Ruthless Raider. On 7 resources I triple dark raid Ruthless Raider, dealt 8 to base, 12 with the first Ruthless Raider, and then I sacrifice both of them with exploit ability of Pursuer Heavy Tank to just finish the game off from hand. And the second part of the cards that we run differently than most players are our sideboard, because our sideboard is mostly versus hard control.
Yeah, exactly. So it is known basically that Jango is a very aggressive deck, so the control decks tend to counter him, especially those that play blue color, and that's why we decided to counter those. One of the things that we brought is swoop down. So swoop down was a really strong answer to client, because it gives your unit, one of your space units, saboteur, and then +2 and -2 for client. So it allows you to kill the client easily. And the thing about clients is the fact that, especially in Bosk, if you let clients live for long, then he's gonna heal Bosk for a lot, and you're not gonna win that way. So killing client is must have in most cases, and it's not that easy in Jango, where you run mostly space units. So that's why we played Swoop Down. We decided to play it in main because it's still quite a good card against some other matchups, so stuff like Sabine and other decks that run some ground units. It's not great against Jango, so we just were siding it out, but for the most part, it was quite strong card. Besides Swoop Down, we have Emperor Palpatine. Emperor Palpatine is, in our eyes, a great answer to Snoke, so you can play him also on 8 when Snoke's come to play. He kills Snoke immediately, and Snoke is a huge deal for Jango because there are a lot of units that have only 2 HP, and Snoke basically kills them for free. So having something like Palpatine to clear Snoke out and then giving you a bit of opportunity to replay those 2 HP units from your hand back on the field is really strong play. Also, the fact that you can maybe deal 6 damage to Avenger or something like that and finish it off with Tarkintown is also a decent play that I was able to do during the tournament. And in general, quite a few people play Cad Bane in Palpatine's slot, but we think that Palpatine is way stronger against controlling the matchups because sure, you can play Cad Bane, capture Snoke, but it's gonna be only taken for 1 round, and since you play against Blue Villani, they are gonna still have a lot of removal and they're gonna clear Cad Bane easily. So Cad Bane also is played against the Jango mirror by some people, but in our eyes, this matchup is so fast that 7 mana drop is not really what you want to do, and you ideally want to finish the game on 6 resource rounds. So that's why we don't like the idea of running Cad Bane.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think Cad Bane is a really good card, but I don't think it fits really what Jango wants to do. Because if you had to play Cad Bane and clear the board, you are probably not in the position to finish the game quickly. And if they have any answer for him, you're basically losing the game. And the fact that Palpatine is just for the control matchups, because we built the deck in the way that it's main pre-sided versus Jango and Sabine, because we thought those two will be the most played decks during the tournament. Okay, so let's talk about how we did, who won, and what our testing group did as a general. So this is the photo of our testing group that we finally were able to meet during the event. So we have You Can Call Me Al, Torque, me and Sip, like on the photo that did really, really well during the event. I was the only one out of the 4 that didn't make it to top 8. I finished in the 12th place because I lost the last round to Oliver, that was the Cad Bane to qualify to the second day. Sip qualified to day 2. He played versus Palpatine, and he will definitely tell you about that game in a moment. And You Can Call Me Al was the Sabine player that managed to be undefeated on day 1. Sadly, he then lost into the top 8 with a Jango player that he beat in Swiss round. And Torque was the winner of the tournament, the cheater of the tournament, because in the round 3 on round 4, he got a deck checked and he had an illegal card in it, so he should be disqualified because this was the most important card in the deck that he had, the card that was in every single matchup, in every single turn. So he shouldn't be able to play there too, yeah, but they allowed him. And the card that he had wrong was his base. He had a different 30 HP base than he brought to the tournament. I don't know if they allowed him to swap it or they just changed his base into his list. But yeah, that was a big mistake for a player of this caliber. Yeah, and yeah, it was extremely nice to finally meet the guys, because we tested like a bunch with them before the tournament. Our sideboard looks like this mostly because we didn't want the Bosk matchup to be auto lose. And with testing with Torque before before we put Palpatines and Fangs and swoop downs, it was basically unwinnable for Jango. For addition, lastly, I will tell about the tournament was my two losses were versus Oliver, that was playing Cat Bane, and Mono Blue Yoda, that was running basically an anti-Jango list. That was the list that I really couldn't do anything. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, again, huge congrats to Torque for taking the whole tournament with his boss blue. There was a little bit of controversy with the tiebreaker rule, where when the time ended, the player who had the most damage on their base was losing, and in case they had the same damage, the player who had the initiative was winning, and Torque was able to win with that tiebreaker rule twice in his top 4 and and in the finals. But in my eyes, it's just both players knew before before they started playing that this is how the tiebreaker rules work. So in my eyes, it was completely fair that this how how the game went. I don't play control because I don't really want to mess with those type of situation, and that's why I play mostly aggro and midrange decks. But this is how it is.
Yeah.
And also, the game that I lost was in top 8 against Palpatine Blue. I just got kind of unlucky, and that's how it is. Like after a mulligan, I ended up drawing triple Dark Rate, Fet's Fire Spray or Fet's Rider, 2 no goods to me dead, and swoop down. So basically unplayable hand. So that's how I lost game 1, and then game 2. He ramped twice into double Snoke, which was also a huge blowout. So that's how I lost. But it's just sometimes how it goes, and there's not much you can do about some of the more unfortunate games. And yeah, I also happened to lose round 1 against Mandalorian Blue. So sometimes you go to a big tournament and you play against some random deck and you happen to lose. It was, I wasn't expecting that, but I ended up winning the rest of the Swiss and made it to the top 8. But then I lost to the Palpatine Blue.
It was really funny because like I finished round 1 pretty early. I was walking down the table that Sip was playing. It was like, oh, he looks like he's winning. Like I've asked for the score. They said it's 1-1. So I went to get something to eat. I came back and the game is basically like 1 attack away from losing from both players, and I think it was Typho that gives Sentinel to something that made you lose the game. But yeah, it was like losing at the round 1 on the big tournament, especially versus a deck that you didn't expect to run, is really hard. So like a big congratulations for you to just going 7-0 after that. Like lastly, I will only tell that you also won the super draft that was the next day. On the amazing option that you got Anakin and General's Blade in the same draft packs.
So I mean, we've played both in the super draft. I was lucky enough to open Anakin. Unfortunately, the guy who was sitting on my left and as well as the guy who was sitting on my right also opened Anakin. So I really had to like try to find a color that was open as my secondary, because I was seeing basically 0 red heroic cards, and I ended up finding that blue wasn't really that commonly played. So I ended up with quite a lot of really strong blue cards. And then in my third pack, I opened General's Blade. At one of my pre-releases, I was able to find 2 of those, as well as Anakin. And I really steamrolled that pre-release, so I knew that this card is really strong. Even out of aspect for 5, this card was a huge powerhouse, and it was really carrying me the game. So yeah.
Yeah, Anakin is busted in the limited format. I had one of the best deck I've ever drafted during the tournament, because I played green was super open. I have had the Jango. I had really good early game, 3 ramps, amazing late game, but my 2 losses were versus Anakin, deploy Anakin, buff Anakin, go 9-8 to base 2 or 3 times. And because in the set there isn't really any removal for leaders, like buffing your Anakin is just a best way to win the game currently. Yeah, so thanks everybody for watching. Right now we are testing a lot of decks because we want to go away from Jango. We not know if we will go away from Jango at the right now or on the next big tournament, but right now we are testing few decks that really can handle everything that this meta offers. So I hope you will be waiting to see those in action in the future. Bye!